Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today is an exciting day because we're going to talk about the Mother Gateway of 13, and its activation that is coming very soon. It's also going to be called, in my eyes, the Rebirth of the Heart, and it also is AKA August 13th, 2023. So this, if you guys have read Angelic Pearls 144, you will already know that this is on its way. So this really is a reminder and a deeper dive into how to get the best from this activation and how it's working with you individually in your natal chart. So first, I'm going to share some information from Zaneta and the Seraphim. I'm going to share this image as I read what comes through from the Angelic Pearls 144 book. The Pearl teachings were first brought here directly from the sacred temples upon the sphere known as Venus. Venus represents the higher self aspect of Earth. It is only through the love vibration that one can access the portal of their heart and ignite their Christ seed to then anchor their pillar of light. This is what's happening to the Earth. Her pillar of light is anchoring for her to ascend into Venus, then as one into the Andromedan galaxy. This is the 13th gateway and the gateway of the Mother. This gateway is now opening to be accessed upon your plane and will complete in the year 2023. The same year, Venus will complete the 8-year dance around Earth, creating the petals of the cosmic rose. As this divine flower comes into full bloom, so can you. See the white sun shining above you. Extend yourself and slither upon its rays like a string of pearls, for you are all connected by this diamond light string. You are all beautiful pearls covered in ribbons of sound attuned to the song of your soul spark. Allow yourself to hear the sounds that you read in our words, for each one is a pearl light code laced with vibrations of the musical pearl notes. The planetary 5-point Merkaba field peaks with magnetic energy during the dates located on this illustration attached. Every 8 years, Venus passes in between the local sun and the Earth 5 times, where Venus orbits the local sun 13 times. Here houses the sacred numbers of 5, 8, and 13. The final anchoring of the gateway of the template will be on August 13th, 2023, the 8th month on the 13th day, and adding 23 of the year, you get 5. This will be during a major alignment of the Mother Gateway 13 connecting to Sirius as well as Venus. So as you guys can see, there is a very important day coming up. I wanted to talk just briefly about this. This episode is going to be called Rebirth of the Heart. This is a coded episode, and I'm saying that because I'm sure if you are into astrology, you know that this date is coming up, the Venus conjunct the sun. This is not about that, although it is. And it's I would say it's a coded text. So that is why this episode is called The Rebirth of the Heart. If you are here, this is meant for you, and I hope that you enjoy the magic that comes forward. Now, I am so excited to bring on my sister and friend and confidant, and I don't even know so many things. She's a shamanic astrologer and Akashic Records reader. She's been in my life, I think, 2 or 3 years now, and I would say it's one of the main people that I go to with really any questions I have about really anything in life. I mean, really, not just astrology. So when we were talking about this day coming up, I wanted her to come on, or I asked her to come on and look at my chart through the lens of her shamanic astrology to help for me to anchor in what's coming through that portal from the sun through Venus to me. I hope that you take something from this. And also, before I forget, I want to say that Aisha is going to be offering mini sessions to dive deeper into what your chart is talking about if you feel the call to go deeper into this activation. And with that, I'm going to bring on you. Hello.
Hi. Here we
So
are.
weird being on this side and not just listening, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. That didn't really even hit me. I just pretend we're still just in a video chat together.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you. This is fun to share what is about to come through with everyone for you. So.
Okay, so I'm going to share my chart. So this is my tropical or third dimensional birth chart. And so Aisha is going to bring in the magic from this perspective.
Do you mind if I steal your screen, actually? Because I really like to draw or write. If you've done a reading with me, you know I'm all about hands and drawing, but I really feel like that helps people understand what's going on. So even if this looks like a puzzle to the people that are watching on YouTube, really, like, as we talk through it, you do start to get an understanding, which hopefully will help people look at their own charts and see what's going on for them. Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful. So you can see my screen, okay?
No, we can't see it. I have to add it. Here it comes.
Oh, okay.
There it is. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how much depth you want me to go into about explaining the chart, or I should just dive right in.
Dive right in.
Okay. So this is, you've already set it up for the day of the transit, which is August 13th. So we can see exactly where this beautiful energy, what area of your life it's lighting up, because the houses are just that, the areas of the life of your life. So I can't really dive into it without explaining a little bit of what's going on energetically. So I kind of want to paint a picture starting with Sirius. Sirius, we can consider like the mother sun of our system that we're able to like absorb energy from. Basically, all of the archetypal or primordial energies of source flow through Sirius to our sun, to us. So we have a beautiful lineup on this day that's coming through Sirius really powerfully. And then it's streaming through to our sun. And then we have it flowing directly through Venus. And then, of course, it's hitting Earth. So if you could just imagine this like giant funnel, right? And what's beyond Sirius is source energy. And so Sirius is the gateway or the mother birthing that source energy and making it accessible to our sun. And our sun is like our father source. So our sun is God to us, basically. It's the closest thing to like that external projection of source that we can reach outward for. Of course, we all have that spark inside as well. So this lineup with Venus, also with Sirius, is really important because it's amplifying all of this source-based, beautiful high frequency power just in this one really focused line going directly into us on Earth. And so for you in your life, we could imagine that all of the light, all of the beauty, all of the like radiance that is being generated through that portal or that like giant like headlight glowing is glowing on your 11th house. Because we have the sun here in your 11th house. So Leo rules your 11th house. What is the 11th house? It rules community, the collective consciousness, friendships, groups. I'll give a little bit of context to as well to the houses. Basically, super quick and watered down. The first house is starting us at birth. So we're going through life, birth, community, basic needs being met, home, private life, family, starting to create our routine, create who we are, flirting with the outside world a little bit. And then in the 7th to 12th house, it's us in relation to the outside world. So personal houses, interpersonal houses. Now, when we get to this point here, it's called the midheaven. It's our greatest expression in the world. And then once we peak, so you can imagine this to be you growing in your career, you growing in your unawakened or awakened life, just to the point where you're like really climbing that mountain and putting the work in, and doing so in mastery and accomplishment and ambition. But what always happens is we get to this point where we're now standing on top of that mountain and we look around and we go, oh, this isn't it. So I like to describe this as like, if you can imagine yourself climbing to this mountaintop that you thought was the highest mountain, but from that viewpoint, you can then see an even higher mountain to climb. So it's this fourth quadrant of the chart, and I'm explaining this because it's really important, because we're looking at the fourth quadrant. We're looking at the areas of your life that are like closing out this overall cycle. And so you get to that mountain and you go, from this perspective, there's more. What does that look like? Well, I've already climbed that 3D mountain. I've done the ambition. I've done the purpose. I've been in my mastery. What comes next is the 11th house. So this is where we take everything that we've learned, everything that we've accomplished, all of the ways that we've learned to like tangibly work with the earth element, and we elevate it all to be in service to the world. So we elevate our work to serve the collective consciousness. We also move from, family, colleagues, those kind of bonded, merged relationships in the outside world to, okay, this is my tribe. This is my core group. This is my new community that reflects and can hold that higher frequency, higher version of me. So that's why it's often when we get to the 11th house, we've really come into this like strong bonded sense of like who we are in community, and our community often reflects that. So,
and I feel like this exchange right now couldn't be more aligned with what you're saying. It's like I feel like I release, and I don't think control is the right word, but I release the like duty or pressure that I felt that I had to hold a certain vibration on this channel, let's say. And yet now I can see I can rely on others to hold the same vibration because I have that trust. There's a deep trust.
Beautiful. That is such a jump. And in a lot of ways, I know you and I know your story and I also know your chart really well. Represents like what else is going on in your chart. And often these, we can't really dive right in because there's so much other context that is living here that's important. So one thing I'll bring up that's just related to what you just said is your moon sign. So your moon is in Capricorn. You are coming in as that person who's in their mastery, has a very tangible grasp on how to work this life, how to build. I explain Capricorns as the CEO. The CEOs just kind of sit in their office. They're in their knowing, they're anchored in that position. So they know they're like in mastery of that corporation. And someone who's like in the sales department or marketing doesn't know the next steps in their own role. And so they go down the hall and they open the CEO's door, who's just waiting there, right? And whatever little question they have, the CEO in their knowing, grounded, sits and goes, and then just has the next steps for that person. So that's Capricorn energy. And Capricorn does rule the 10th house. That is, so you've chosen as a soul to bring in as your foundational part of you, mastery. I've mastered, I've conquered. I've climbed to this mountain in many, many lives, and I'm bringing that in as my soul foundational essence. It's like, you don't have to try, you are that. Actually, with the moon placement and Mars, which I'll talk about, I call them the denser planets, we actually have to try hard not to be that too much in the world because they're not progressive for you. They're what you already are, and we're here to learn something new. And so one big thing for you in this life to move forward from, because you are used to being that one, like that CEO is the hierarchy. It's that one person sitting in their knowing. So that could be representative of you when you started feeling more comfortable delivering the message, right? And so now we're literally making that transition that I described where you're transcending the 10th house of mastery, and you're really moving through your moon and saying, okay, that's not really for the world anymore to see.
Mhm.
Now I want to move into and discover this 11th house. And the most beautiful, like, now I will start to cry because this is so beautiful. Like when I tune into the energy of Venus, and definitely that serious like mother love, birther of our constellations, like as far as we can expand to feel it, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful high vibrational energy where the Moon and Mars are denser planets, which we really have to in our human life like keep pushing through. I say to people when I do readings, your Venus expression is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful parts of who you are. And it's something where you don't have that much shadow when it comes to it, unless it's in a difficult relationship. And so when we see how you're pushing through your moon, and in a way, Mars too, because Mars being one of those denser planets in Gemini, my information, I know, I want to put it out there. I want to search for answers. It's very like mental.
Like in a silo, right? Like studying, like being on my own, like, I don't know, graduate degree or something.
Definitely like sharing with Gemini's collecting all of the information and then has this real like excitement about sharing it with others, but there's not necessarily that like collective to those two as far as it goes past the superficial of just delivering the message, being the messenger. So those are your two like densest placements, which make it even more beautiful to be lighting up this collective energy in your chart, because it's not something you came in really like gravitating towards naturally. And so you particularly in this cycle, that's this new cycle that's birthing, are going to come into such a new beautiful expression of who you are, because you're really coming into the heart space of love and communion with the collective, with your community. Yeah. Does that all resonate with you? How are you?
I mean, I feel that deeply. And I also got a download that this time was for me to learn how to be the mother instead of the mothered. Now, I was feeling that in reference to my mom, because I've been having like a deep sense of I need to surrender to the little things, and they're not big things, but they're little things that I think I've talked about. And it came to me that the deeper I can surrender into nurturing her, like I'm the mother. She's regressed back into a state that she needs to be mothered, and that I step forward into that, and like in that reversal of roles. That also felt like that was for me coming through this Venus opening, because let me just tell you, like 3 days ago, no, that's not where I was. And all of a sudden I feel like, can I have compassion for a soul that is in my ancestral lineage that is not prepared to step forward yet as that embodied self, right? So she's regressing back into her childhood and needs to be remothered from me, which I mean, why does she live with me? You know what I mean? Like it's all another big thread, which in a way, what I was feeling is like that being a mother is kind of coming through to me in this 11th house as well, because it's like opening up my vessel enough to love everyone where they are and still be a part of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And as you're speaking, I'm just looking at your chart and saying, okay, this is where the real reading begins. I have that gift of like being able to challenge people in a loving way. So for sure. So you in your personal energy are so I would say nurturing for sure. And it totally makes sense to me that you connect with the nurturing mother gateway aspect of this conjunction for sure.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll say is when I look at your chart, it's actually in the masculine that it's the masculine that's asking for a lot of your attention here. So it might be a kind of situation where you hold a lot of the mother maternal energy. Maybe we could say if we're going for 100%, you have 50% within your capacity. And now what's being drawn to your attention is actually that masculine side of being that same nurturing entity, but how does the masculine nurture instead of the feminine? Because, go ahead.
Is it masculine? I'm trying to figure like a feeling that comes with that. What I'm feeling is active.
There's definitely an active aspect to it, and that's for sure when we tie it into the Leo energy, because Leo is like fixed fire. So let me just walk you through where I went when you were talking about that whole aspect of you that you feel called to step into.
Mm-hmm.
So in your chart here, so as I said, I'm looking at the fourth quadrant. And to me, because the planets, everything moves this way, I almost want to go back a bit and tell the story of what's happened leading up to this point. Because here we have the conjunction, but here before that, we have one of the biggest life lessons that you'll learn, something that you're here to really understand, go through on an experiential level and embody, is your Saturn lesson. So you have Saturn in Leo. So in your life, you have a limitation, because that's what Saturn does, on Leo energy. So when I see that in someone's chart, I know, okay, Leo is fifth house things. It's that age when you're young enough to, as I like to say, flirt with life, not so much thinking of consequences and what's going to happen. You're just having that pure, and this is where the action comes in. Spark, fire, heart, love, action. I'm just doing, I'm in my flow. And you can think of like a actor up on stage in a musical, like singing at the peak of the song. They're just like flowing and taking action. And there's so much love in that activity, and they don't care in that moment. The audience could be a billion people wide or could be no one. They don't care. There's no consequence beyond that pure fire of heart-based action. Right? So in your life, the major limitation that you chose as a soul to come, right, is to have a limitation in that part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is masculine in the sense that that Leo energy is fixed fire, and it's just like taking action in ways that are spontaneous and fun and joyful, and putting yourself on a pedestal and leading with that courage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a huge lesson for me.
Huge, right? And
Huge.
so when you said I'm stepping into nurturing my mom, what the big lesson for you is, and the thing to think about is, how were you actually nurtured by dad? Because
I wasn't, because he wasn't in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that might be why you go right to the feminine nurturer.
Oh, I see.
Whereas I would argue that a really beautiful, fully well-rounded way for you to be a nurturer is in that Leo expression, that masculine, because Saturn is saying, here's a life lesson early on. G's dad is going to leave. So she doesn't get that masculine nurturing.
Right.
So this could be either your dad was gone completely, or you could have had a father that was very strict. Like, you want to go out and have fun and follow your heart, and you have this presence, this masculine presence. Doesn't have to be a dad in the house or that's like, no, stay home. You can't go out. These are the rules. Like, that's that like shadow Leo. It's like, these are my rules. I'm the leader of this house. You live by what I say. Okay. But on the positive side of that, it's like really showing Leo energy is fun. It's being nurtured into following your creative expression. It's putting fun and spontaneity first. It's knowing how to step up on a pedestal, because you have this natural ability. Like, that's Leo energy, right? Like, people naturally gravitate, and they know how to own their soapbox, show people, and then they step down and they go, now you try. It's just when you get to know that they don't step down, but that's not a concern here, because this is not a regressive placement. But in all of the ways that you are afraid to open your heart, truly doesn't matter because you are just like blasted open with pure love, stepping on up onto that soapbox and being like, I'm doing what I love, like blah, singing, whatever it is. Like, well, it's not, it doesn't even require a thought. It's like heart-based action. So all of the ways that you have been limited in that and haven't experienced that, the first whole part of this transit is that it hit that Saturn part of you. So that's something that to
Then
be
it did.
seen.
I want to just give this example of, instead of me like looking at her as, why isn't she contributing here, or why is she acting like a child here? When I talk about surrender, it was a full blown, I'm excited to make dinner myself every day for her. Like, can I really like provide, not just in the sense of a place to live, but can I open up bigger with the heart? Because like with you guys, it's much easier because it's less dense. I'm going to be honest. With her, it's so hard because like she's very guarded and very shut down in a lot of ways. So it's hard for me to like blow open because she can't see that. You know what I mean? Like I have to find a way to do it like in a way that she can grasp, where we could like talk for hours and just be full blown, I love you, oh my God, I don't, it's not like that with her. It's very stoic, it's very serious, it's a different thing. So in this this evolution is, how do I bring in that heart in a third dimensional way and be okay with it?
Yes. So one thing you said that is very anti-Leo in there is, so I have to find a way to do this thing that hits her in a certain way. Okay? See what
The Leo would just do it.
would just do it.
Okay.
When I'm doing it. And Leo has this energy of like, come and do the fun thing with me. Look at how much I shine in my full expression. I'm not even saying it. They're acting. That's fire. That's tangible, taking action. Fire element isn't mental. So as soon as you move over into, okay, I'm kind of getting it, Leo, like it could be fun for me to cook dinner now. How do I, because that's that whole part of you that wants to merge and bond on a mental level to understand other people. And you do have that gift and that quality. And that is actually very progressive energy for you, because your personal Libra placement is in, your Venus placement is in Libra. So it is in that energy of providing and being socially tuned into someone, but you already have that, right? What you're being asked to learn is how to fully express as you, regardless of what anyone else. You have to trust that when you step up onto stage and do the thing your heart is calling you to do, that it will land graciously with other people. Because here's the thing, especially when we're talking about key soul partner, soul contract relationships, you are always going to have what someone else who's close to you needs for their growth. It can only happen in your true and pure expression. It can't happen as you acting on for their benefit.
Oh my God, I love that, Aisha. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have to trust that when we step into our highest aligned path, our most progressive energy that shows up here, it will just radiate like the sun and warm everyone else up. But the sun radiates on its own. It's like, it's not concerned. There's no one plugging it in. It's not plugged in, right? It's just a self-contained ball of light.
I just had a thought move through, or a feeling that, is that why she's pulled away from me, because she can see that she's hindering me opening it up?
It could be, yeah. And it could be discomfort with your full expression. And that's what happens too. Like we've all probably, so many of us have experienced this, like the discomfort that we create in fully shining our light creates discomfort in other people, and we feel that, so we dim it down, right? So you really have to trust that this is a huge lifelong lesson. I mean, it started when your dad left. It was chosen by your soul pre-incarnation. And here you are. And we'll get into now, if you really want to be at your fullest when this conjunction happens. Because for you, again, timing is divine, right? It's happening in your 11th house. What it's saying is learn this lesson, get this message, understand this part of you that is in limitation. Because once we learn our Saturn lesson, it becomes one of the most beautiful gifts no one can take away from us. It becomes one of your strongest personality placements once you just push through and you just get it.
Okay.
And you get to that point and then you see, wow, and now that I get it, now that I get what that means, then this conjunction is coming up. So something just came into my mind that I want to talk about before I move into the 11th house of the conjunction for you is the bees. Okay.
Is the what?
The bees. The bees.
Oh, the bees. Yes.
So you becoming a beekeeper,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is very big Leo energy for you. Because look at this, it's in your 10th house. It's a job. You are doing work when you do that. Beekeeping is a job. So check its 10th house. It's taking action. So when you're there and you're fully like hazmat suited up, we want pics, by the way.
Okay.
You are in a flow state of action, right? You're not thinking.
I mean, I'm just learning, so not really, not yet. I'm like listening to my mentor and being like, okay, and we're not going to squish them. Okay. So I'm not in a flow yet, but I did notice that a sound comes through me when I'm around them to calm them down.
Beautiful.
You know, just following the intuition and like I'm humming to them and they are the most gentle girls ever. So I'm learning.
So project out into the future when you are in, you know, like really comfortable with that. It's going to be part of your routine. It's going to be part of your flow. It's your job that you're flowing. It's a heart expanding, heart expressed action that you're taking. And you're not thinking about anyone else. You're not even thinking about them because you know how to move. You know, you are a master of your craft. It's like that artist up on stage, just knowing those lines so well. So that's like very strong Leo energies. Okay. I want to bring that up because I want to show you, I want you to like embody into what that feels like. There's nothing in your mind, ideally at that time, that is concerned with being the boss, that's concerned with being the know-it-all. It's not even required because you're taking action. You're not using your mental and you're not doing it for someone else. You're not thinking, oh, I only have 10 more minutes because someone in the house cares about me. You know, you're just like, this is my divine job. So that's Leo energy. That's not thinking of consequences. You're flowing in the moment, in your beautiful expression of creativity. Okay. Now that feeling is when we move into the 11th house in this community you're creating in this part of you that's like opening up to your collective. That's the same feeling that we're like going for. And that's what this conjunction wants to bring into you. Okay.
And also, I'm going to just say in the output that I do and also the input that I receive, right?
Yeah. Can you explain that a bit more? I think I know.
So when I think the output, I think, for example, creating courses and creating them not from my, like, I think this is I should start at the beginning because there's going to be people that need to know about chakras, for example, versus just giving what I am feeling to give.
We'll do two answers to that. One is, well, maybe three answers. You have to trust yourself. So that CEO version of you, right? The one that's in mastery, and then that Gemini and Mars version of you, that's that Mars peak. Mars is constantly there. It's that most readily available 3D version of us that we just keep tripping up on like 10, 20 times a day, every day. It's always there. And so anytime your mind comes back in and goes, but, and if I could control, you know, that's like, okay, now let's go back to that beehive example. Are you going in, numbering your bees and making sure that number 6 got fed today because you noticed it didn't the day before? No. You're trusting the vibration and the movement in flow with your movement. You're just trusting that give and take. That is the true meaning of being in the collective. It's like imagine yourself in a big drum circle, right?
Mhm.
You're there and no one's got a plan, but everyone brought their drums. And some people are amazing musicians, and other people literally bought their drum on the way to the drum circle. No stress. You're going to sit there and you're going to let yourself tune in and vibrate with the collective energy, because at that point,
Ooh.
the singularity dissolves. Have you ever truly felt yourself as
Dissolve.
part of the collective? Have you ever truly felt yourself merge with a circle?
I I did in the circle that the ceremony I went to a couple months ago. I was still obviously deep in medicine, but I let go and mothered from a place of what was needed, not from my mind wasn't even present, and I just went around the circle feeding people and then sitting with others, giving energy, like moving in that way.
Mhm.
That's the first time I ever allowed myself to do that because, you know, I guess maybe in ceremony, I've really been geared towards staying in my own silo. Which
Mhm.
I mean, in the Peruvian tradition, it is that.
Mhm.
This was a different experience where the circle was opened and you could, I mean, this was after the ceremony closed. So it's not like I got up in the middle of the ceremony, but there was space for that, I
Yeah.
guess.
And how did that, why did you get up and start moving? Like, what
I
was the,
just could feel what was needed in each. It was just it felt like a magnet to each person. Like I remember seeing like some people I would walk right past and know I wasn't meant to get into their energy. And then others it was like I need to check in on that person. And then in others I would bring some people food. Like, like I don't know, it just felt like I could sense what was needed for
Mhm.
each.
In the past, would you say you would not stand up and float around like that because you would be like people would be like, why is she up? Why is like eyes on you, that kind of thing? Like what?
Well, to be honest, like it's been COVID. I don't do things in person like you. I am solely over the internet. Yes, I go to circles and I have people come here, but that feels more like a sisterhood. It's not, an official circle. So this was probably the first time I've ever been in that situation. However, my personality would be like, no, just sit down.
That's the personality part. Yeah, like don't bring attention to yourself. You're
No.
fine sitting
I don't
right.
want anyone to look at me. I'm totally good.
That is the Leo limitation in you. That's
Yeah.
Saturn speaking until you transmute that part. Okay. So when you get up and you allow yourself to be seen and flow and say, because it makes my heart feel good and I'm following my heart and my knowing, that's such a beautiful, beautiful combination of Leo energy and your Venus Libra placement. And your right.
Yeah.
Because Venus Libra it's such a beautiful part of you. Don't ever lose it. It guaranteed it's how you love yourself, it's how other people love you. Very high vibrational planet, Venus. So if we could only choose one placement to be, is like, go with Venus. Like, let's just go with that. Okay. So Libra really cares about people. They want peace, they want harmony, they want everyone to be comfortable. That's how you love by nature. That's what you gave yourself as a soul coming in, one of your big, strongest, most beautiful points. But when you stand up and you're comfortable with everyone seeing how you love, also, I'll just say what comes to mind is you posting yesterday that video of you crying for baby G at your altar. That's a public video. That's all eyes on you. Someone with very strong Leo placements would share every part of themselves all the time because they're comfortable being a star, right? But you're not. You have that personality placement that's like, don't do it, but you did it. And you shared how much you care, how much you love,
Mm.
how much of a nurturer you are. That's part of your soul as well, because your moon's in the fourth house. That's the matriarch. That's the nurturer. That's the mother, right? So
Mhm.
when you come into that expression of you, I just see it as such a beautiful expression of your progressive Venus placement how you want to take care of people and create harmony and make people comfortable, how you are by nature. And you're, as a soul, you chose to come in with that moon in the fourth house saying, I've been a mother many, 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 many lifetimes before. Maybe I've mastered it and I don't even need to in this life because it's such a core part of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can just come full circle with it, you know, complete the triangle and really step past this Saturn placement and jump into the 11th house and be like, you know what? And I'm not afraid to be seen anymore for all of these beautiful things that I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That's such a high. And so what we have happening on the 13th, I mean, I have goosebumps now. This is beautiful for you. What we have happening is saying, look, you're getting the message. Take a big leap of faith over that. You've already got a few examples of where you've, you know, you've done it, you've stepped into it, you've had the courage and it feels great and you're proud of yourself. This is your this is your evolution and it's right on time.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have Sirius, we have the Sun, and we have Venus. The Sun and Venus, along with Jupiter, are the most high vibrational things that we can shoot for to express. And those are all shining down on you, saying, congratulations, this next phase of your life. And not just your life, but like these next 7 years in terms of our collective evolution are so profound. So for everyone listening to this, what a beautiful time to get this message of like, how can you align with Venus? How can you align with the Venus? We could say is the pinnacle of what Earth is becoming. It's already there. And so we're looking at it on this day being like, what in me can come out and be that beautiful?
Like that it's safe to come out.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, I mean, when we look at these placements, I mean, it couldn't be literally from these stories I'm giving you that are literally happening in my daily life right now. It couldn't be more aligned with this chart, literally. And it's like, we are just the vibration of what's happening in the cosmos. So of course it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, it's the perfect expression of what I need to. And even though we're looking at tropical and looking at the third dimensional view, this in myself is still third dimension.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why like one will never phase out because we still get those like the density. I mean, these lessons as embedded in our chart, in our personality by our soul, it's divine. Like if you try to supersede your 3D reality, you're choosing to go against your soul in a way and say, I'm deciding that what you thought was really important for me to learn isn't, and I'm just gonna spiritually bypass and just go this way instead. Like, no, it's, we really have to ground ourselves and appreciate the parts of us that are learning, because I don't care how expansive of a soul you are, you didn't come here, you came here to learn a lesson, learn lessons too, because why wouldn't we? This is such an incredible opportunity for us to learn. You know, we're going to learn, we're going to take this opportunity in density to learn how to create out of that density, right?
So last week I did an episode called Becoming Multidimensional, and this would be the perfect example of that. Our hearts want to expand higher and higher vibrations, but we can't until we work in another dimension to clear the things that are still sticking you down. And so you have to learn how to become multidimensional and move between the dimensions, because we still have those anchors that need to be lifted up. So a year ago, when I tried to bring through the programs and the courses, my intuition was like, it's not time. It's not time. It's not time. You're not ready. And I mean, yeah, you guys know, I've been through it. But even until this moment, I've worked on the new website and it's all ready. I just have to put the things in there. It's ready. But I'm still knowing it's not time yet. It's like this, it feels like this alignment is that push to be able to step up versus like, kind of like, if I think about the podcast and even YouTube, it's I'm behind a camera. It's this symbolic divide that makes me still feel in my own silo. It's like I can be public, but I'm not really public. And if you met me in person, I would be very shy.
Yeah.
So it's like marrying that part of me with the physical, this is me.
Yeah. I always say, like, our timing, I mean, when I look at this birth chart, I almost see it like a clock, which you have to insert a key and then it turns slightly. Like, timing is so divine, and it's chosen again by our soul. Like, she's pulling back the curtain as you need to see the next thing. She's moving you forward, and that's why also, like, to put that human pressure on yourself to fast forward to the end goal is to negate and to say no to all of the gifts of experience. I call it training. You know, like, if someone comes in for a reading and we get a glimpse, we're at that point where we get a glimpse into what their soul purpose is. You know, like, there's human lessons, there's soul lesson, and then we see, oh, you're ready to get a glimpse to that first version of your soul purpose. But the job you're in now, don't quit it and just move on to that. Consider it training. Now that you know, like, do everything as if you're moving into this version of you. So even the way that you have been like brought into, carried into in these magical ways, community, you've met other people that are a very safe place for you, right? Like, your first experience in community with people was with a very high vibration, in a very high vibrational container, which you felt safe. That's like kindergarten, right? And then the next one is, okay, I'll go to, like, somewhere outside with more people I don't know, closer to the city. And, like, okay, like, I'm going into grade 5 now, and I'm learning how to do that. And eventually you'll be hosting your own retreats on your own land, and you'll be standing up there as that version of you, but you're going through training, and the timing is divine. And yes, it's aligning with beautiful conjunctions. And that's part of being multidimensional, because how do you understand all of that? You can't. So you just have to be gentle with yourself and say, okay, you know, what's coming will come. And these transit readings, I mean, if you can really tune into them and look at this perspective, they help so much because they allow you to see the whole picture, you know?
I would say it takes it from the unconscious to the conscious. You know, like, I had it, and I definitely had the inkling that this obviously is in my 11th house, so I knew where it was. But I mean, having this conversation, it's like bringing up the points, like, that I actually need work still. You know, like, where I can catch myself and say, like, oh, whoa, am I regressing here, or am I ready to really move forward?
Exactly. And then when you know, right? Like, again, we look at this, like, quadrant of your life, and we see that you just got this highlighted in a big way, because anything that is transiting here just past your Saturn, right? So you can see, okay, that part of me that still has hesitation, is still trying to find ways to express, is still there, and I can move through it consciously. Whereas before you would say, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do this already, right?
Oh, I've already gone through that.
This whole part of your life relies on you coming into conscious awareness of your Saturn placement. And if we rewind a little bit, you have Mars in Gemini, right? And Gemini was retrograde, or sorry, Mars was retrograde for a really large part of this past spring and spring. And so basically you had Mars just itching over top of your own Mars placement, two dense planets for you, that most 3D version of you that wants to, like, have all of the information, everything, just keep going down the rabbit hole forever. It was just scratching the rooms constantly. So then we look at the whole picture, we go back and say, okay, oh my God, wait, you also had your South Node. Like, this is everything you've been going through that's dense. South Node, Mars, Saturn, very dense placements. And you had Chiron before that. Oh my God. Okay, so this whole part of your chart.
But look, there's Jupiter.
Yeah,
there's some luck in there.
A little bit of luck. In your relationship. That's
my relationship.
That's Richard's coming in being like, don't worry, I'm gonna hold it for you.
Totally.
But we can see how this just 7th house to 12th house is you coming out into the world. And so this whole past cycle you've been in has been like, ooh, density. I've got a wound there. That hurts. And now I'm coming up to all of the things I've done that I know so well. Mars is here to, and you're coming around. But here, like, don't you feel the relief? You're like,
Yeah.
okay.
But I also can see like how life works. Like I've been thinking I've been distracted. And even a year ago, you and I talked about this, like, how can I clear more distractions, right? Not like leaving dishes in the sink. I remember you telling me that. I was like, what? Who are you? But all of the distractions, what I'm realizing is because I wasn't ready to do what I was trying to focus on. So all of the distractions in our life are here because we have densities to work through. We have lessons to learn. We have things that we're supposed to get through in order to open the key to this next evolution.
Yeah, totally. Beautiful. And that's where that actually leads really nicely into this conjunction here that's also happening on this date. So our inner planets, right, that you have, like your Mercury, Mars, Venus, Sun, that creates who we are, our personality. But the outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, those are like outside forces affecting us, right? And so Uranus is here conjunct your south node. So basically that's saying on this day where all of the most vibrational progressive energy is lined up for you to step into community, if you are too much in your comfort zone, in stagnation, which is what your south node is, right? So your south node, very regressive, what you've already learned many, many times over, to the point where in this life, it becomes your comfort zone, and life isn't meant to, like, you're not set up to succeed if you're leaning into your south node, your comfort zone. So that's what's going on here. Uranus is saying, this is so important. I'm going to come up conjunct on this exact date with your comfort zone. And if you are leaning into your comfort zone, staying fixed, not making decisions, not moving into Earth, fixed Earth is the opposite of that fixed Leo energy, right? So it's squared in the sky. If you decide to stay fixed throughout this time and not take a risk, not take a chance, not follow your heart, and just hunker down, then Uranus is here saying, well, I'm going to bring something in to force you out of that comfort zone, because that's what Uranus does. Also a very high vibrational planet. Personally, I love Uranus. I have it at the top of my chart, so I'm just like Uranian in the world. I'm super proud of it. But it's like the rebel. It's the revolutionary. It doesn't follow rules. It doesn't care what's right or what feels safe or comfortable. And it's sitting on top of what feels safe and comfortable for you, saying, I'm an outside force and I'll bring something in to push you out of your comfort zone.
And Uranus is slow moving, so it's been there and it's going to be there for a while.
Yes, exactly. So all of this we've talked about over time. And so then you have to think too, like, what is the South Node archetype for you? It's Taurus. And what are all the ways that you've leaned so hard into Taurus and eighth house energy, which is like very bonding with people, and feeling like merged and bonded and like too much like stuck in other people's energy, when really you are meant to really take care of yourself, do your own thing, build your own foundation, not care so much about how other people are building their foundation. You build the foundation, again, it's for you. And if other people benefit for it, great. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, this thing about clearing distractions, which started a year ago, literally at a ceremony, is that like I can't look at anyone else's path and mirror myself to that. I have to pull back, which means like no social media. But I can see how what you're saying in the Leo energy is I have to find a way also to share myself. Like, for example, that video I shared. Sorry, my dogs are going nuts. My bee mentor just arrived.
Oh.
But that's okay. I told her we'll be done soon. But now I totally forgot what I was saying.
Clearing distractions, social media.
Yeah, clearing distractions to the point that I can see myself to share that place. versus like me saying like, okay, this is how someone else posts, so then I need to figure out this new app that I can figure out how to do this such and such and such. For example, yesterday was sharing my broken heart. I don't know why I did that, but I just felt I needed to do it. So that to me feels like an example of being okay with the share of vulnerability, which I mean, this whole podcast has been that. It's just, it feels like it's taking it to a raw, more open-hearted place.
It's like the key word is spontaneous, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you decided to share, it was a spontaneous heart-based decision. That's Leo. When you see other things, right? When your mind starts going and you're like, I should do it like that. I should plan it. I shouldn't release it until it's perfect. That's the mind, that's Gemini. And also I remember us having this conversation, and I remember seeing this in your chart a year ago. And I suggested to you, what if you took your camera out and you were out doing things, like, because I was trying to push you into an environment that's less controlled, where you have no option but to flow with your heart, because you don't have a topic planned, you don't know where you're going to go, what's going to come up, so you're following your heart in every moment, right?
I mean, this for me right now is just magic, hearing those words come from your mouth, because I can see exactly why you said that, but I didn't know it at the time. And even if you would have said it, I wouldn't have grasped it.
Yeah.
Because I have done some recording outside, but I put it like on a tripod, for example. I try, like, I'm like, oh, and what what does it look like? And I see, like, if you're holding it, you don't have that control. It is just like talking to a friend, which when I'm one-on-one with people, it is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like an example of how to lean into Leo. And the word spontaneous you can use as another like key word for you. If you're going down the mental path, but you feel like it's something you should do and it feels good, or if you're afraid to do something, it's like, is it a spontaneous heartburst moment? I'm just going to do it. Like, try just posting something out of, I mean, I know you have this interesting relationship with social media, but for example, like just posting something and sending it. That's why that Facebook thing was so perfect. It's spontaneous. It wasn't well thought out, but it was heart-based and it was for the collective. That's like the perfect example, right?
I would say that I only shared it in the energy group because it's where I feel safe.
Good. It's good training.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
all training. I don't expect you to be perfect yet.
Okay.
It doesn't even happen. So go easy on
I know, totally. Well, okay, so then if, like, you as an astrologer, and you said this in the beginning, that you're feeling this energy move through Sirius, then through the local sun down into Venus and into our bodies. It feels like supercharged. I mean, I can already feel it now, and I'm sure you can as well. I mean, we just went through Lion Gate. And it feels like Lion Gate is like a little bit of a precursor to this. It's like a much more blasted open, raw place. I even
Venus retrograde as well, for sure.
I,
That's going on too. And so it's like Venus is coming in retrograde to show us to slow down and focus on it, to go inward. And like the first thing is like, who are you as Venus? How is that version of you that, like, I've been telling people, go back to who you were as a kid before your trauma happened. Don't even think about your trauma. If it happened right away, just, can you pull out what you love to do? Like for me, I love to color. I love to swim. I love to ride horses. Like those are three things I can think of. And I just want to like get into that version of myself, because that's my pure kid, like Leo Venus expression. Forget about all the trauma that came in, but like go in and see, who am I today? What parts of that are missing? What parts of that am I not expressing? How can I do that? That's Venus retrograde, being like, realize who you are. How do you love yourself first? How do you love yourself? And it's going to be fun, funny, spontaneous, silly ways. That's the key. So it did start with Venus retrograde. That's kind of the message. And then solar flares, Lion's Gate, and it's all just like bursting us open, right? It's forcing us to feel our hearts like, oh my God, it's that energy that's like, I have anxiety in my solar plexus, the sun, it's bright, it's flare, it's sending solar flares, Leo energy, like there's so much pressure here. Okay, the relief is always to move it into your heart, and that's what Venus wants to do. How do you love yourself? You can't love anyone else before you know how you love yourself. That's how you love other people. So go there.
So what was coming through to me as you were talking is that I don't think it's a coincidence that G went missing during this. My heart feels so raw right now. And just even Richard, last night we walked the entire property just to check to make sure that she wasn't, in like a ball somewhere because she's terrified or injured. And she's gone. Now, I could see as we were walking the land that Richard was holding it in. And when he came up to bed last night, I just gave him a hug and I said, you have to cry. You have to let it open. And myself too, it's like it created this like wound that's there that needs releasing. And I want to just say, like, I'm so grateful for her protection and for her like putting her life on the line for this moment, because as you guys know, everything is connected and this is part of my journey. Everything is part of our journey. And I know you went through recently your dog Callie passing, and it was an exact the moment that it was needed.
Yeah. And actually, I was also thinking about your baby G before this because I'm house sitting and I have these two giant Maine Coons, and I'm never around cats. I really like them, but I've just always dog family. And so I realized, okay, it's not lost on me that I have these giant like feline presences as we go through this energy. But Scout was sitting on my lap and I was thinking, it made me think about baby G, and then it made me think about my dog Callie. And what I realized was Callie chose to exit at a point where it was also a major transit. It was literally over spring equinox. We had solar class flares at the time as well. Like she chose that most high potency time to exit. And the same, like we've had multiple X class flares within the last like 24 to 48 hours, which is super rare. And that's exactly when she left. And I don't know what the divine meaning of that is, but I do know they leave us when we need to learn a lesson. And they both chose to leave at a specific type of high vibrational, high potency time. So yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it just makes you, I know when I sit with the grieving a little bit longer, I can already feel it. Like I'm just so grateful for the 2 years that we had with her. She was the weirdest cat I've ever met, but in the best ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just so honored, and I know with Callie, you had her for 15 years. And I mean, the depth of honor that is, it's like these souls come in as our support. And it's like, all we have to do is open the heart. That's it.
Yeah. 100%. And it shows us all of the ways that we're capable of nurturing in the most beautiful ways and in the ways that we still have work to do too, because there's always like whether you're overly codependent and overly nurturing and worried, or you're just way too easygoing with them and you forgot to get their teeth checked 5 years ago or whatever it is, like those are all part of your chart. Those are all part
totally.
of you.
Totally. And how you mother as well, I'm sure. Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're already an hour in, so I guess like I just want to say, first of all, like such gratitude to be a reflection for me in this time. I mean, it's perfect. I can't, it's not my language, so I love hearing it through you. And the way that you explain it, it's like I can feel it in my body versus looking at the glyphs and being like, wait, what? And she's saying this trend, I feel it. So it makes me anchor it. And I love you so much. And you're going to create a link for me to link below. I'm sure maybe, I don't know how much you'll have this open, but even if it's beyond the transit, I'm telling you, the transit's already working. So even if you get an appointment with Aisha after the 13th, it's still there. You're just going to become conscious of it when you're ready to hear it.
Yes, 100%. Whether you're looking at it like past tense, what I do for the transit readings, I call them mini transit readings. I just release them when there's really profound transits, always eclipse season. But it's just like a 20-minute, maybe longer, because I talk a lot pre-recorded video. So you'll see me, hear my voice, and I walk you through basically everything we just did, but like their chart. And I do them as they come in. So you get them pretty quick because they're pre-recorded. So there's definitely opportunity to get it leading up to the transit as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait, I want to take this off so that we can see each other. There we go. I've been looking over here because I'm looking at you.
Well, thanks for having me. I love you as well. And it's such a gift to like know you and learn more and more of you in every conversation that we look at your chart because
well, I want to say thank you for helping me blossom open into this transit. My God, this wasn't planned in any way. Like where faith, it was like I got a download. Then months went by where we were preparing. This was yesterday being like, hey, you want to get on the recording and do this? She's like, okay, and we didn't plan any of it. So thank you for helping me be spontaneous in the moment and feel with my heart of who best to deliver this message. And for everybody that is watching, I mean, this is magic. So I hope you reach out to Aisha and feel some of it.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye, you guys.